What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors finally snaps on live television? The tension inside the View studio was suffocating. You could feel it before a single word was spoken. Michael B. Jordan sat stone, faced across from the panel, jaw tight, eyes narrowing with every passing second. What was supposed to be a simple interview to promote his latest film unraveled into a full-blown confrontation no one saw coming. And by the end, Michael would do something that left the audience gasping and the host scrambling to recover. Before we break down this explosive moment, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Should celebrities walk off interviews when things get too personal? You're going to want to stay for every second of this, because what Sunny Hostin said to Michael B. Jordan crossed a line that should never be crossed. The studio lights burned hot over the View's iconic table as Michael B. Jordan took his seat, flashing that trademark smile that helped make him one of the most beloved stars in Hollywood. He was there to discuss his latest action thriller. While Whoopi Goldberg welcomed him warmly and Joy Behar cracked her usual jokes, Sunny Hostin sat stiff, arms folded, barely acknowledging him. "So, Michael," Whoopi began, "tell us about this new film. We heard you did most of your own stunts." Michael lit up. "Yeah. I always try to push myself physically for these roles. This one had me hanging off helicopters, diving through explosions. My stunt coordinator probably aged 10 years watching me." The audience laughed. Most of the panel smiled. Except Sunny, then. She cut in. "That's all very impressive," she said, voice edged with sarcasm. "But I'm more curious. Why should anyone care about another mindless action movie when the world is on fire?" Michael blinked. The smile faded. "Well," he said carefully, "I think entertainment serves a real purpose. Especially during hard times. People need a way to escape. Escapism." Sunny repeated, almost spitting the word. "How convenient. For someone in your position to sell distraction, while real people are struggling." Joy shifted in her seat. "Sunny, come on. He's here to talk about his movie." But Sunny leaned in. "You know what I find interesting?" she said. "You're one of the few black actors to reach this level of success. And instead of using that platform to challenge the system, you're making films where you blow things up and kiss pretty women." Michael's hands gripped the armrests. "With all due respect," he said, steady but firm, "you don't know what I do with my platform. I've built production companies to give opportunities to black creators. I've funded scholarships. I've invested in community programs." "Oh, please?" Sunny cut in, waving her hand. "A few tacks right offs don't erase the fact that you're feeding stereotypes. The angry black man, the violent hero. Don't you think you have a responsibility to do better?" The studio fell silent. Even the crew forgot the commercial cues. This wasn't just tense. It was hostile. Michael took a breath. Controlled, composed. "I believe I have a responsibility to tell stories that matter. And if you actually watched my films instead of judging a poster, you'd see they're about redemption, family, resilience." "Save the press release," Sunny snapped. "When was the last time you turned down a role because it didn't uplift the community? When did you say no to a paycheck because the character was harmful?" Whoopi raised her hand. "Maybe we take a step back." But Michael shook his head. "No. Let's address it. You want to know about roles I've turned down? I've walked away from millions because I didn't believe in the script. I've gone to war with studios to rewrite characters, to hire diverse crews, to make the work better. But none of that matters to you, does it? Because you've already decided who I am." Sunny laughed, cold and biting. "Oh, now you're the victim. Poor millionaire movie star. Someone asked you a hard question and suddenly it's persecution. I'm not playing victim." Michael snapped, voice rising. "I'm defending myself. You're sitting here questioning my integrity, my blackness, my entire career. Based on your opinion of action movies, I'm questioning your priorities." She shot back. "You have influence. You have young black men watching you. And what do they see? That success means playing pretend and cashing checks in designer suits. The other hosts exchanged panicked looks. This had gone off the rails. Michael leaned back, disbelief in his eyes, and something else, disappointment. You know what's really sad? He said quietly. We're sitting here. Two successful black people. We've both broken barriers. And instead of celebrating that, you're trying to tear me down. Why? Because my version of success doesn't fit your script. Don't make this about black unity. Sunny snapped. This is about accountability. About asking the hard questions your PR team clearly didn't prepare you for. My team prepared me for an interview, Michael said sharply, not an interrogation. And definitely not a lecture from someone who thinks they get to decide how black men should navigate their careers. The air in the studio felt colder. Sunny's eyes narrowed. She slammed her palm on the table, rattling mugs. I'm doing my job, she said. Journalists ask tough questions. Sorry if you're too comfortable in your bubble to handle scrutiny. Scrutiny? Michael echoed, stunned. You haven't asked me a single question about the work. You came here to judge, not understand. You've done nothing but make assumptions about me, Michael said, voice low but firm. Who I am, what I stand for, that's not journalism. That's character assassination. Sarah Haynes, quiet until now, finally spoke up. Maybe we could steer this back to the film. But Sunny wasn't done. She cut in sharply, ignoring Sarah's attempt at peacekeeping. You want to talk about your work? Fine. Let's talk about how in your last 5 movies, you've played the same character over and over. The brooding, muscle-bound black man who solves everything with his fists. Do you not see how that feeds harmful stereotypes? Michael's knuckles whitened as he gripped the armrests. First of all, that's just not true. In my last 5 films, I played a lawyer fighting to overturn wrongful convictions, a father reconnecting with his daughter, a sci-fi pilot exploring the unknown, and yes, 2 action roles. But you wouldn't know that, because you didn't look. You came in with your mind made up. Don't talk to me about research, Sunny snapped. I did my homework. I've seen how you've positioned yourself in Hollywood. Always safe, always smiling, never pushing the boundaries, never taking real risks, never challenging the very system you profit from. Uneasy murmurs rippled through the studio. Some audience members pulled out their phones. The energy in the control room had shifted to panic, but on set, no one was in control. Michael stood abruptly, then sat back down, exhaling hard. He was trying, barely, to hold the line. You want to talk about hypocrisy, he said, voice simmering. You sit here every day, collecting a paycheck from Disney, one of the most powerful corporations in entertainment, and you're lecturing me about challenging the system. When's the last time you bit the hand that feeds you, Sunny? Don't you dare flip this on me. Sunny fired back, raising her voice to meet his. I use this platform to speak truth to power every single day. From the safety of this desk, Michael said, the calm in his voice now gone. With your makeup done and your talking points pre-written, you want to talk impact? I employ hundreds of people, mostly people of color, through my production company. I fund scholarships. I mentor young actors. I help build film programs in underserved communities. But because I also happen to make action films, none of that counts in your world. Hoopy tried to step in again. Okay, everyone, let's just breathe for a second. But Sunny bulldozed right through. You know what your problem is? She said, eyes locked on Michael. You've bought into your own hype. You think because you've got abs and a charming smile, because you can throw a fake punch on camera, that makes you a hero. But real heroes don't use stunt doubles. Real heroes show up when it's uncomfortable, when there's something at stake. Michael's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. You mean like what you're doing right now? Ambushing a guest because you've got some personal agenda. That's your version of bravery. I don't have an agenda, Sunny snapped. I have standards. Standards for what we should expect from people who claim to be role models. And frankly, you fall short. Joy Behar reached across the table now, visibly alarmed. Okay, that's enough. This is getting out of hand. But Michael raised a hand and cut her off. No, let her finish. I want to hear more about how I'm failing the Black community by being successful in my chosen career. He turned to Sunny. Go on, please. Enlighten me. Since apparently, you've appointed yourself the gatekeeper of authentic Blackness. That's exactly your problem. Sunny shot back, finger pointed at him. You think success means selling out. You think making money is the endgame. But what about integrity? What about using your influence for something more than just entertainment? Michael's tone sharpened. Entertainment brings people joy. It creates jobs. It builds culture. It brings families together. But you're too caught up in your own righteousness to see value in anything that doesn't match your narrow definition of worthy. Narrow. Sunny's voice cracked with indignation. I'm narrow because I expect more from someone like you. Because I think you could be doing something real instead of playing dress up and pretend fighting. Something shifted in Michael's face. That was the line. He stood, fully this time. Clear. You know what? I came here to share my work. To talk to your audience about something I'm proud of. But this, he gestured around. This isn't a conversation. This is a public flogging. You've made yourself judge, jury, an executioner of what you call Black excellence. Sit down, Sunny commanded. We're not done. Yes, we are, Michael replied. Because I don't need to sit here and defend my existence to you. I don't owe you an explanation for my career. Especially not from someone who's built their entire platform, tearing others down while hiding behind a desk. The studio gasped as he reached for his microphone and unclipped it. A loud pop echoed through the room as the mic disengaged. The sound technician scrambled. Audience members held their breath. You're seriously walking away? Sunny said, scoffing. Can't handle a tough interview. Proves my point. The moment someone challenges your story, you run. Some hero you are. Michael turned one last time. You know the difference between us, Sunny. He paused. I build. I invest. I create. I tell stories that lift people up. You tear down. You sit here day after day, mistaking cynicism for intelligence and criticism for contribution. And with that, he walked off the set. Michael turned back to Sunny, his voice low and deliberate. But tell me this, at the end of the day, what have you actually built? What have you created besides viral moments and sound bites? Sunny didn't flinch. She rose to her feet, eyes blazing. I've created accountability. She fired back. Something you clearly can't handle. Michael took a slow step forward, his tone controlled but laced with fury. No. What you've created is a hostile space where guests get ambushed under the guise of journalism. You've built a platform that lets you feel superior by tearing down other people's accomplishments. That's not accountability, Sunny. That's just bullying dressed up in intellectual language. The other hosts were on their feet now, physically positioning themselves between the two, sensing things had gone too far. The studio erupted into chaos. Some audience members cheered, others booed, phones raised, everyone recording. Walk away then. Sunny called after him as Michael turned toward the exit. Prove my point. Show everyone that when someone actually challenges you, when it's not just fake praise and softball questions, you fold. Michael stopped at the edge of the stage. Slowly, he turned around. No, man. Just his voice. And it carried. I'm not walking away because I can't handle your questions, Sunny. I'm walking away because I won't be part of this performance. He gestured around the room. You want a real conversation. About responsibility, about representation, about using platforms for good. I live that. I'd be happy to talk about it. But this isn't that. This is grandstanding. And I respect myself too much to be your target practice. Sunny scoffed. Respect yourself. She laughed bitterly. You respect your bank account. Let's not confuse the two. Michael paused, then slowly walked back a few steps toward the table, just enough to make security visibly tense. His tone was sharp now. Surgical. The difference between us? I'm honest about what I do. I make movies, I entertain. I create jobs. I tell stories that reach millions. You pretend this is journalism when it's just judgment. You pretend it's about principles. But really, it's just your opinions dressed up as moral authority. Whoopi stepped forward, trying to defuse the bomb. Michael, please. Let's just take a breath. We can pull this back. But Michael shook his head. No disrespect to you, Whoopi, or any of the others. But I'm not going to sit here and be disrespected by someone who walked in with a verdict before I even said a word. This isn't what I signed up for. Sunny's voice followed him as he turned to go. What you signed up for was an interview, Michael. Sorry it wasn't the red carpet fluff you're used to. He didn't turn around. This time, he just kept walking. His footsteps echoed through the stunned silence of the studio. At the door, he paused, just long enough that everyone held their breath, waiting for one last word, one final clapback. But he didn't speak. He just pushed open the door and disappeared into the backstage shadows, and the studio erupted. Half the audience booed Sunny. The other half applauded her. The remaining host stood frozen in place, unsure what to do next. This wasn't just a tense segment. It was a live TV implosion. Sunny remained standing, chest heaving, a faint smirk curling at the edge of her lips. Well, she said, brushing invisible dust off her blazer. I guess we got our answer about how he handles pressure. Whoopi's voice sliced through the tension. Calm, but razor sharp. Sunny, that was completely inappropriate. Sunny turned. I did my job. She sank back into her seat, smoothing her dress like nothing had happened. If he can't handle tough questions, maybe he should stick to scripted lines. Joy Behar looked genuinely disturbed. Those weren't tough questions. That was a personal attack. You decided who he was before he even opened his mouth. Sunny shrugged. Guilty, she said, of wasting his potential. Guilty of chasing easy money over real impact. Someone needed to say it. Sarah Haynes, usually the calm voice of reason, could barely hide her frustration. But why did it need to be said like that? Why did it have to be an attack instead of a conversation? Sarah asked, her voice steady but shaken. Sunny didn't blink. Her tone was icy. Because conversations don't create change, she replied. Comfortable conversations let people off the hook. Michael B. Jordan has been getting a pass for too long. I held up a mirror. That's it. A voice from the audience cut through the tension. You should be ashamed of yourself. Suddenly, chaos erupted. Shouting matches broke out across the studio. Security stepped in, weaving through the aisles to separate audience members on the verge of physical confrontation. Whoopi raised her arms, trying to regain control. We're going to commercial, now. But Sunny wasn't done. She turned directly to the camera, locking eyes with the viewers at home. I'm not going to apologize for doing journalism, she said. I won't apologize for asking why one of our most visible black actors continues to play roles that glorify violence and recycle stereotypes. If that makes me the villain, fine, so be it. Joy cut in, her voice heavy with emotion. It's not what you said, Sunny. It's how you said it. There's a difference between challenging someone and ambushing them. Sunny scoffed. He's a grown man with millions in the bank. If he can't handle real questions, maybe he's not the role model people think he is. Backstage, the damage was already underway. Michael had locked himself in his dressing room. His team was silently packing up. The executive producer knocked urgently. Back on stage, the fallout only grew louder. An audience member stood and shouted, "You owe him an apology." That was disgusting. Sunny spun around to face them. I owe him nothing. I owe our viewers honesty. I'm not here to coddle celebrity egos. Another voice rang out, You didn't ask questions. You attacked him over and over. The control room tried to cut to commercial, but the director held. The drama was too raw, too real. Whoopi slammed her hand on the table. No, we're going to commercial. And when we come back, we move on. This is not how we do things on this show. Sunny shot back. Since when? Since when did we start protecting celebrity comfort over real discussion? Since when did we stop asking the hard questions? Sarah answered quietly, but firmly. Since we decided to be decent human beings. Sunny turned, incredulous. Decent. You think it's decent to let people with massive platforms coast by without scrutiny, to prioritize politeness over progress. Sarah didn't back down. I think it's decent to treat guests with respect. I think it's decent to talk to people, not at them. The studio was now in complete disarray. Debates were breaking out among the audience. Security was overwhelmed. And through it all, the cameras kept rolling. Sunny stood, speaking over the crowd. You can boo all you want, but someone has to ask these questions. Someone has to hold celebrities accountable when they think abs and a box office hit make them untouchable. A woman in the front row stood up. My son looks up to Michael B. Jordan. He sees a strong, successful black man who made it without scandal. What's wrong with that? Sunny didn't hesitate. What's wrong is that he could be so much more. He could be challenging the system, shifting the narrative, not just starring in the same recycled action stories. Another voice pushed back. He does create change. He hires black crews. He funds scholarships. He tells stories that matter. You ignored all of it. Sunny snapped back. Because it's not enough. Not when you have that kind of influence. That was it for Whoopi. She stepped forward. Her voice was low, but lethal. Sunny, stop. You made your point. You drove our guest off. You've divided the room. What more do you want? Sunny's eyes darted around the room. For the first time, her voice wavered. I want people to expect more. But she was finally hearing what she hadn't before the shift in energy. Her co-hosts avoided eye contact. Her supporters in the audience had gone silent. The stage manager signaled frantically. They were coming back from commercial. Everyone took their seats. As the show returned live, Whoopi faced the camera directly. We want to apologize to our viewers for what just happened. Sometimes conversations get passionate, but that's no excuse to lose sight of basic respect. Michael B. Jordan is a gifted actor and a vital voice in our community. We regret that his time here ended this way. Sunny opened her mouth. Whoopi silenced her with a single glance. We'll be right back. A fade to black. The fallout was immediate. Clips flooded social media. Front the View meltdown trended within minutes. Entertainment outlets scrambled to break the story. Michael B. Jordan's publicist fielded a dozen requests an hour for statements and exclusive interviews. But inside the studio, the atmosphere was radioactive. As the audience slowly filed out, some still arguing, one truth became clear: this wasn't just a botched celebrity segment. It was something deeper. A fault line. A rupture over how we define success, how we enforce accountability, and how quickly we turn admiration into interrogation. Sunny sat at the table. The applause she once courted had curdled. Her earlier confidence now felt like armor cracking under pressure. She'd gotten her confrontation. But at what cost? As the lights dimmed, and the day's taping wrapped in chaos, one question remained. Did Sunny Host expose a hard truth about celebrity responsibility? Or did she cross a line that no journalist should ever cross? The answer, like the moment itself, was far from simple.